morning, Mavis. Welcome to Southern California. It's Good Friday. It's a little bit overcast here. We actually live about 25 miles from the ocean, but we still get the fog in the morning, certain times of the year. It's generally a little bit warmer out here, but our garden's a little rough from the winter, but we're going to take a walk around the house and look at what's going on. Pause it. So as you can see, we got lots of different plants. This is all bougainvillea up here that creates our fence between us and the neighbors. Not that we dislike our neighbors, we actually love them. But yeah, that thing gets in full bloom and it's very crazy. And you can see a couple of our old orange trees up here. So these are Valencia oranges. These are probably some of the original oranges on the property. As we go around, you'll be able to see they've been grafted. So I have a sneaky suspicion that they're probably planted in the 50s when this house was built. A few other things here, looking a little rough, but this is actually an extremely rare plant that I have and has these beautiful red flowers on it. It's a type of a bush type coral tree. This one is one of my favorites. It's called an albuteron. They come in lots of different colors like reds and oranges and yellows. I have a few different ones around. Once you show her the base of the tree so she can see how it was grafted onto another rootstock. And then show her up into the So you'll also notice there's a few plants around that you'd probably find as houseplants in Maryland. One is these jade plants here. There's actually two different varieties of them. This one has curled leaves and this one has flat leaves. But these are plants that until I came to Southern California, I always had them in little pots in my house, but here they grow outside just fine. So this is our plum tree. Wow, that actually smells good. This is a plum tree. It looks like it had a rough go of it for a while, but this side of the tree is doing really well. These other ones here that you see, these are peach trees, or not, excuse me, these are cherries, two different varieties. They're very small, so they're not the modern Bings. They've been around for a long time also. The brightly colored one in the back is a peach tree. We had a lot of fun with our peaches last year. I even still have a couple of them in the freezer for when I make baked brie, things like that. There's another little cherry tree here that's just starting to leaf out. This is the bougainvillea that I was telling you that the entire fence will brighten up and look exactly like this. These crazy posts that you'll see lining a lot of our property, the previous owner actually died when he was 89, but apparently he put all these in so he had stuff to hold on to as he walked around the property. This is actually a native oak, and oaks are kind of weeds around here. This particular variety doesn't get really any taller than that. There's some oaks up in Central California that are just absolutely gigantic, but these are all these scrub oaks that we have here in Southern California. See, we've got some mountains off in the background. None of these are particularly tall. I think the tallest one around here is maybe a couple thousand feet, maybe 3 at the most. You get out behind here and we've got Palomar Mountain, which goes up to around, what, 5,000 feet?
5,000 feet and has the famous Palomar Observatory.
Yes, which I actually went to when I was a little kid, and Bill took me back there a few years ago. Oh, it's going to be difficult with all this weirdness. The flowers in the foreground there are a type of hyssop, which is a native to California. It's a nice little grove of them planted there, along with some palms and other succulents. Got a giant rosemary bush right here. There's a lot of these plants around the property in various colors. These are called lantana. They were a very popular landscaping plant back in the 80s and 90s, and so you can always kind of date your landscape because you almost can't find these things now in garden centers. These bushes, there's quite a few of these around the property too, and they're all salvias or types of sage. They have big purple sprays of flowers on them, quite pretty. Here's one of our new avocado trees. So Juan just planted a couple of more trees for us because Bill felt that his avocados were lonely and he needed more avocados. But you can see there's just starting to flower, so hopefully we'll get avocados this year. Once you pause it and get away from the
Actually,
So these are agave plants. There's lots of different ones. This is called an American Blue. They're not necessarily the ones that they use to make tequila out of, but they're very similar. But you can see they get absolutely ginormous, and they'll make little pups at the bottom, and that's how they just keep proliferating. You can literally whack these things off, go stick them in the ground somewhere, and they'll keep going.
and every so often, what, 10 years or so, they'll flower and a giant stalk will come up.
No, they'll probably flower more often than that. You're thinking of some of the century plants and stuff that are types of agaves.
Okay.
I have a couple of jacaranda trees. These things you can actually, you can Google them, but the streets of Johannesburg, South Africa are lined with these things, and certain communities in California are too. And they're absolutely gorgeous. They get these giant purple flowers on them, and they're just so incredibly stunning, but they are sort of a weedy, spindly tree type thing until they get really big. But they're, like I said, quite gorgeous. So these things, this is a Brazilian cactus. And then this one on this side, which is just getting ready to leaf out and flower, is a Madagascar palm, which is a funny little plant that, again, I had in a pot about this big for a really long time, never got any bigger, but apparently they get huge. But they have gorgeous sprays of white flowers on them. I think we might have to whack the cactus back a little bit because it's definitely encroaching. All the rain we've had over the last couple of years has really made these things grow. This is a leucopilum that I actually planted when we first moved in. And you can see the flowers are really gorgeous on these things. They're a type of Protea Australian plant, but they grow really well here in Southern California, very drought tolerant. But I love them. I think they're beautiful. Again, our orange grove. People think it's romantic to have a grove, but you have no idea what thousands of oranges it takes to manage around here. They do take a lot of water, but they have been delicious, and we have really enjoyed them. We actually just identified a group that will come and glean them and then hand them out to food banks and senior centers and things like that. So probably in the future we will be doing that because these are more oranges than normal humans can handle.
Well, and this house was built in 1952 and was one of the original houses around. You see that we have neighbors now, but this all used to be one property, and there were just hundreds, if not thousands, of orange trees just like these.
Yeah. So these are, a lot of them are probably some of the original few that were left, although I think there's a few varieties that are newer ones in here. But again, you can see the giant bases, and some of them have been grafted onto other things. This is a chicken coop down here that I've converted into a small garden. So I've got some tomato plants going in the ground in there. A couple in pots from last year that have overwintered. I was going to see what they do. But yeah, the tomato plants are going like gangbusters down there. Yay. Oh, these are those salvias that I was telling you. These are the purple flowers that they'll go completely bonkers and throw out millions of flowers on them. And the butterflies love them, the bees love them. I can't remember the name of these trees. They are a very strange ornamental from Australia that apparently would turn into an invasive species. And so they're on that list of, you can't import them anymore. But they do really fill in. We had them pruned last year because you whack them back every few years and then they go like crazy again. So believe it or not, this is a poinsettia plant. They actually come from Mexico in the bottom of the Copper Canyon in Chihuahua, right?
Correct.
So Bill and I were lucky enough to have gone down there and seen where they first collected poinsettias and brought them back. Obviously, this is the end of winter, but by November, it'll have giant leaves on it, beautiful flowers, and just be encroaching into the sidewalk to the point that our tenant downstairs asked us to cut it back because the spiders scare him. We've got lots of roses. Again, they're a little rough looking because of the winter, but we'll show you some more old ones that have been around. Hi guys. This is our turtle pond. There's one right there. We have 3 turtles. And 2 are box turtles, and I think one is a red-eared little slider guy. Let me turn the waterfall on. I turned it off. I fed him last night. We turn off the pump when we feed them so that we don't end up with all the food going into the filter. Gives them a little time to have some munchies. But yeah, they're funny. We love them. Got a few bush cucumbers going. Something is eating the lower leaves, so I'll figure that out. This is a type of bird of paradise. If you come around this way, you'll actually see one of the flowers on it. They are black and white. They're not the orange ones that you normally see, and these get really huge. There's a couple of flowers up there. There's a fresher one up in the back that you can see the black and white flowers on them. Hey dog, stop. Make a gopher problem. So we've got a lot of old roses. This yellow one is an old rose. It's really pretty. This one is one of my favorites. You can see, come around this way, how big the stalk is on it. It's got gigantic, like, hot pink flowers on it. Juan told me that the property had a lot of roses on it originally, and the last wife that was here didn't like the roses, so she had him take a bunch of them out. But he said there's a few of them still here. He goes, I don't know why your roses grow better here than anywhere else. He goes, I have 80 clients that want roses that look like yours. Well, I think I found out why. This whole area used to be a hog farm. The ridge line that we live on actually is called Hogsback, and so we probably have very fertile soil because of the pig farm. But we've got a couple of really old cactuses, again, that were here, I'm sure, from the original 50s. Lots of birds of paradise, some kangaroo paws, the yellow ones I put in. I'm filling in you know, a few holes here and there, you know, as some of the annuals died off over the winter time. But a lot of them just pop back up. So one of the nice things about living in Southern California is you can grow just about anything. Oh, one of the rose bushes is going nuts back there. I need to fill up all my little bird feeders. The wind and storms have wreaked havoc there, but we need to fill those guys up. I've got a variety of what's called a nutmeg mannequin, which are these funny little finches that are actually from the pet trade. But we've got flocks of them around here, and they're just the cutest little things on the planet, and it's so fun to watch them in the feeders. And we did have a a dove actually laid an egg in the bottom of the feeder a few weeks ago. So, oh, there's the egg there. It fell out of the feeder. This is Matilda, by the way. I don't know if you got to meet the dog or not, but this is Matilda and her very shiny champagne coat. Here's some of our regular birds of paradise starting to bloom.
Talk about the owl house.
Oh, and we have an owl house. So the county was giving these away a few years ago, encouraging people to put in the owl houses for rodent deterrence. We have a lot of native rats and various rodents that cause all kinds of problems. So we have a resident barn owl that comes to visit us, and he's not nesting in there, but he'll come and sit on the perch, or, you know, we'll see him flying around in the evening. Very cool. So again, some of my plants, everything from begonias, butteron, rubber trees. This is one of my prized possessions because I bought it as a little teeny tiny plant at Trader Joe's, and now the elephant ears are going crazy. It likes it here. This is a very cool plant. I love these things. It needs actually a little bit more sun, but this is what the flower looks like on it. And they're just gorgeous. This one is a rare double flowered one. Most of them you only see the single flowers, but they're really gorgeous. Absolutely love them. This is an Australian dendrobium. This is a native to Australia orchid. They grow up in the trees. And so this one has started putting off little keikis. I'm actually going to pick those off. This is a keiki, which means baby in Hawaiian. And so you can see it's got little roots on it. So I can pick those things off when the roots get a little bit longer and tie them up into some of the trees. And so I'm going to put some around on the property. Stand in some water. But he's one of these things, but doesn't have the double flower. So yeah, that's about it. That's our tour of our garden area. Some of it's more gardeny than others, but yeah, we love it. And thanks for joining.